You are listening to the ERP, Organizational Change Journal, a podcast brought to you by Nestell and Associates.
Hey, Brent, I'm going to throw in a little bit of a tangent for you while I'm thinking about it, but I'm curious on this evolution. Can you tell me your thoughts on the rise of the chief people officer? A little bit off topic, but that's a position you see more and more over the years at various organizations. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I do. Many thoughts. It's really interesting. Where do I start here? I was speaking with a coworker of mine when I was at Cornerstone, a really smart thinker, and we were having kind of a conversation around the chief people officer and, again, sort of juxtaposed with the chief human resource officer. And it was really interesting. He shared with me a link, and I wish I had it in front of me. I won't take the time to dig for it right now, but one of the research firms out there several years ago published a report. It was called the CHRO and the CHROO. CHROO stood for Chief Human Resource Operations Officer. And this is sort of backing into the Chief People Officer idea. I think many years ago, organizations started, I would say on the leading edge, organizations were starting to understand, well, there's two roles. Again, the abstract and concrete ACM, if you want to think about it that way, or if you want to think about efficiency and empathy, you want to think about tactical and strategic, or soft and hard HR, however you want to think about it. Right. The idea is that part of the job is that administrative side of things. And then part of it is that cultural, that employer brand side of things. And I think that one point, the just industry sort of realized maybe we need a chief people officer as well, instead of just a chief HR officer. I think that's really interesting. I will tell you that there are some organizations that just have a chief people officer, and that person leads HR, as well as macro organization-wide cultural efforts, betterment, whatever you want to call it.
Sure.
And I want to throw something else out there just to spice this up even more. I know of at least one organization, and folks go to our website. I actually have an episode of the podcast about this. There's an organization that I know of that actually aligns marketing, and we put it this way, their chief marketing officer and chief people officer work hand in hand very closely on a daily basis, always aligning the employer culture and employer brand with the customer brand, the customer experience and the employee experience. And I think that's very interesting, and I think a lot of more organizations are going to do that. And I think the organizations that will find that easiest to do, I think, are the folks that have technically a chief people officer in place, or they have a CHRO, chief human resource officer, that's very much chief people officer minded. Those are a few of my thoughts on that subject.
Well, thanks, Brent. That's very interesting, especially this idea of aligning the chief marketing officer with the chief people officer. And, again, the idea of bridging the gap between what your customers want and therefore building the proper internal culture to support, that mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did I summarize that correctly? It's a very powerful idea in my view.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. And I'd say that's a good summarization. And I would just add quickly here that it makes a lot of sense to do that. I can't think of any at the moment, but I'm absolutely positive that there's some business models where that might not be the way to go. But I would say a lot of organizations, a lot of business models, a lot of industries, it makes a lot of sense to align the employer brand with a customer brand, the external. Because if you think about it, your brand, whatever it is the tip of the spear, and your potential new hires of the future, right? Their first experience with you as a brand might be via the customer brand. Even if they're not in the market for what it is that you offer as an organization, they might stumble across it at some point. And I like to say, recruiters are sort of the tip of the spear when it comes to your employer brand. And why not have their understanding of the brand aligned with the customer brand? I don't even know if aligned is the right word. Maybe it's just making them one and the same.